Let's get into it. Sold Not For Sale podcast. Coach Colin here. Got the wife with me.
Hello.
And we are covering Joe Rogan and Dr. Sean Baker, the Dr. Carnivore, let's call him. Guy only eats meat. And in this clip, they're talking about a vegan that Sean was kind of debating, interviewing. Mm-hmm. And this vegan, he's interesting.
Yeah, he's a weird guy. He doesn't think the animal kingdom is moral. So he wants it all to go away.
Vegans, they're just turning in on themselves very, very slowly. And then we have some more information on him.
Yeah, a little bit about his company and stuff.
Yeah, he's co-founder of a company. I can't wait until you guys see this company. Klaus Schwab for sure loved this company. For sure. You guys will see soon what I mean. Let's get into it. Don't forget about IamCoachColin.com. We got Sold On For Sale. We got The Great Resist. And we have, boom, the man himself, public enemy number one. Discount code is IamCoachColin. All capital letters, all one word. One L in the name, Colin. Let's get into this clip.
Taliban's on there.
Right, exactly.
Oh, turn it up.
It was that you were promoting this alt-right lifestyle of eating meat only.
Well, and exercise.
And exercise. It's very problematic, Sean.
It is. It is.
We can't have people eating meat and being healthy and working out. That's fucked up. I don't know why you did it, and I hope you've changed your ways.
Well, I'm working on that. So, like I said, we talked about that debate with the wacko vegan.
Oh, my God. That was my favorite one you've ever done. So, I don't know when this took place, but I just discovered it.
No, it was recently. It was like 2 weeks ago.
I just discovered it a couple of days ago. But you are debating this guy, and you, by the way, you played this brilliantly, where you just had this like little smile on your face, and you let him talk. And this guy was saying that you've never met a vegan like me. Not only do I not think that you should eat meat, because you were talking about the animal kingdom. What about the animal kingdom? Like in the, he was like, oh, I don't think the animal kingdom should exist.
Right.
I think we should replace it with human infrastructure. He was saying that he thinks that all animal predators and prey, that's all problematic, and we shouldn't have any of that. So he's for eliminating all animal life.
Yeah, it's kind of bizarre. It's like I was just like, I don't even have to say anything. It's not even a debate. All I got to do is just let you talk for like.
By the way, where does this motherfucker think fertilizer comes from? Where how are you going to grow your vegetables? Like,
well,
what are you going to do?
He doesn't care about that. He said basically, I don't care if you kill billions of creatures to grow avocados. It doesn't matter to me. That's fine. Even if they were, he said, he went as far as saying, even if they were humans you were slaughtering to produce crops that I ate, it's fine. But if you feed it for a cow and then kill the cow, that's a rights violation. That's a problem. I'm like. And then he said he won the debate because I said, I probably wouldn't eat a Homo erectus. You know, like he said, well, if we could bring back something that's close to human Homo sapien, but not exactly, you're trying to get me to say it's okay to eat humans, but that's the only
That's how he won the debate?
That's how he claims he won the debate.
So if you say, I don't think you should eat orangutans,
right.
then he won.
Then he won. That was the whole thing. It was just like, it was just bizarre. It was funny. I mean, it was hilarious. But
well, he's in a cult. You know, whether he realizes it or not, he's in a cult, and this cult is not. It's not based on any objective assessment of the reality of biological life on Earth. It's just not. It's like to say that you think all animal life should die. Well, are you including insects? Because if you include insects, then you're including bees. Then there's no pollination.
Yeah.
You know, like what are you saying?
Well, I mean, our species, if there are no animals, we would all be dead too. I mean, everything would be gone. So it's like, you know, it's almost like, well, you don't really seem like you fit too well on this planet, dude. You know?
Well, I think that's a deeply unhappy person that's probably very depressed, and also a contrarian to the point of complete illogical thinking. Like the idea that you would think that all predator and prey animals that exist on Earth, including Africa, in the wild, like areas where there are no human beings ever, and these animals all coexisted in this very balanced food chain where you have predators and prey, and the predators keep the prey animals in check, and that there's this like balance in terms of population. The fact that you think that human beings should somehow or another stop that and replace it with human infrastructure. That's basically what he's saying, right?
Yeah. Pave it all over with a parking lot and grow food in a factory. And
see if you can find that guy. It's hilarious because I don't think he understands. Like plants literally survive on biological material that is being broken down by the natural process and converted into fertilizer. There's this symbiotic relationship. They breathe in carbon dioxide and breathe out oxygen. We breathe in oxygen, we breathe out carbon dioxide. The more carbon dioxide, which is a real problem with the whole climate crisis things, the Earth's literally never been greener in observable history. Right now, with the higher levels of CO2 in the atmosphere, you literally have a greening of the Earth. The whole thing is super complicated. And to try to boil it down into some very easy to follow way because it supports your ideology is what most people are doing.
Yeah, Jamie, if you go to my Instagram, like a couple back, like There was
You'll
that
see
guy.
this story.
I think it's like I take on the final vegan boss or something like
Yes.
that. It was like,
Did you put those seed oil bottles behind
no,
him?
he did. That was his.
That's
Because he's a big proponent. He thinks, there's a whole argument about, you should be drinking gallons of canola oil and it makes you healthy.
So he did this. Give me some volume and refresh this so I could hear what this guy says, because it's really funny.
World into non-existence, right? Like I think the natural world is actually morally problematic, and I advocate for its non-existence.
I'm sorry. Can you expand upon that? What does that mean? You advocate for getting rid of the natural world, and we live in a...
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. The natural world is filled with death and destruction, things I find morally problematic.
So
why wouldn't I?
What would you replace that with?
Human infrastructure.
Human infrastructure, and and you're saying we would do a better job as humans.
Yeah, I would even go so far as I think the end goal should be to ditch this ball because it's a liability in and of itself.
But a lot of people might find that problematic.
It's fine. People are free to think that I have a weird position.
Just on that, Sean, like, do you see where he's coming from there? I haven't given this.
I can see his argument. I would disagree with that pretty. I don't think
disagree that if you make human infrastructure over where there is usually a huge amount of suffering and death and rights violations, most likely there's huge of that.
So I guess if we're calling a rights violation a lion eating a zebra, would that fall under your definition of a rights violation?
On my definition, yeah.
Okay, interesting.
So who's the other guy?
Obviously, that is. I'll tell you this. So the other guy's he's a vegan activist. His name's James Aspie, and he used to be like a drug addict, and now he's vegan. And he was like, he made this like rap video saying I was afraid of him and wouldn't debate him. And I was like, okay, whatever. So he wanted a partner to debate with me. And I said, I don't know, bring somebody on. And this is the other guy he picked as his backup, and I'm like, he's probably regretting he brought this guy on now because he's like such a wacko. But
well, the guy that you're the other guy, not the final vegan boss, but the other guy is like, don't you see his point? Like,
exactly.
Rights violations.
Yeah, exactly.
Rights violations. So a mountain lion eating a mule deer is a rights violation?
Well, then I asked him because then I go on to ask him. I said, well, what about the lion that needs to eat? Doesn't he have any rights? He goes, oh, I don't care about them. I'm like,
oh God! So let's eat them. Let's eat the lions. Let's only eat predators.
Yeah.
No, that's a rights violation too.
It's a right violation too. Yeah, they're bizarre. It's kind of
it's just a complete. It's convenient thinking. It's not based on facts. And it's one of the things that's been discussed ad nauseum. But Ted Nugent covered it. Yeah. That if you want to kill the most things, eat a vegan diet. If you're like you made this argument that one cow is one life, and it's probably better to eat cows because if you eat a cow, that's an enormous animal, and you could eat that cow for like 6 months.
Yeah, how long does an elk last you, Joe?
Months.
Yeah,
months.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was just
hundreds of pounds.
Yeah, I was just in Oregon, and that's the end of the Lewis and Clark Trail, right? Mm-hmm. And you read back there. Have you ever read like the history of the Lewis and Clark expedition? Those guys were eating up to 9 pounds of meat a day when they had a lot of game. They had 31 dudes, and they would go through every day. They go through 4 deer, or an elk and a deer, or a buffalo,
They ate a lot of
bear,
bear
and stuff like that. Have you ever eaten bear? I've never had it.
Yeah,
how's it taste?
I got some here. You can have some.
I'd like to try it.
Yeah,
That'd be awesome.
I'll give you some.
Awesome.
Yeah, Cam Haines shot a bear and he turned it into pepperoni sticks.
What kind of bear was it?
Black bear.
Black bear. Okay.
Yeah, but you can eat grizzly bears too. The problem with bears is, the real problem in society is that people view them as what my friend Steve Rinella likes to call charismatic megafauna.
Yeah. Because
we think of it as like Yogi Bear and only you can prevent forest fires and teddy bears and all that shit.
Not teddy bears.
But yeah, they're fucking giant predators. But when you eat grizzlies and you eat particularly brown bear that are coastal, which are the really large ones, they're eating a lot of fish. And they might taste like shit. Whereas if you get a black bear that is munching on blueberries, they're sensational. Steve Rinella says it's some of the best meat he's ever eaten in his life. And when there's a video of him, see if you could find Steve Rinella blueberry bear. So they specifically target these fall bears that are eating blueberries. And when he opens it up, he says they smell like blueberries. Their fat is purple. And he said the meat is delicious.
So this is an interesting thing because...
So this is like you see...
So that's...
So this is him, right? What he's doing now. Yeah, this is Steve after he's shot the animal, and these are pieces of meat that he's quartered up. And so he's taken this fat, and this fat has a blue. See how it has like a blue hue to it?
Yeah.
That's from the berry. And give me some volume. Does it say anything?
Oh, there's good stuff right there.
So he's going to start.
Steve, he's up in Alaska or something, isn't he?
Well, he lives in Montana, but he has a fish shack in Alaska, and I believe he was hunting them in Alaska.
Steve Rinella, one of the people who first took Joe on some of his first hunts, I believe. I think he has a podcast called the Meat Eater Podcast. If you're interested in that kind of stuff, guys, go and follow Steve Rinella. He's great. He's been on the podcast so many times. Huge hunter. That's all he does, basically.
That's cool.
To the point where he has a podcast called Meat Eater.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, very interesting guy, this vegan fellow. What was his name again?
Nick Hebert.
Nick Hebert. Hybrid. And the biggest point that you brought up was, and we're going to pull up his websites. We're going to pull up that interview real quick for you guys because we have that as well. But the biggest point you brought up was imagine being that guy. And hearing Joe Rogan say all that.
That'd be so crazy.
Oh, man. And like, it's not going to help you at all.
No, absolutely not. You know? I can just picture him like raging behind his computer because that's the kind of person he is.
Raging. He's trying to make a blog post about it. He's posting about it. He probably reached out to Joe's people.
Probably like offering to debate.
Yeah, like let's do a debate.
They probably laughed.
It's probably Jamie that's like, no, we're not doing that.
Yeah, probably didn't even get to Jamie at that point.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it probably got to nobody. I don't know. It's just interesting to hear Joe Rogan talk about you being in a cult and all this stuff. It'd be like, ooh. But he's kind of right. There is a cultish kind of vibe to this guy.
Yeah, for
after
sure.
After watching this interview, because I watched a little bit of this interview, and very odd guy. He seems like, I don't know. He doesn't seem like the smartest dude, so to speak. So, what do you want to get to first? You want to just play this clip quickly?
Yeah, sounds good.
So basically, the part that Joe was playing, we just wanted to play that for you guys, full size, so you can get a feel for where this guy was coming from, which is a place of just no return, in my opinion. I think he's just locked into this lifestyle forever. And even worse. Because, we'll get into the company after. Let's
crops, and we provide pesticides for 4 quadrillion deaths a year in the United States alone over our crops. If you can show that there's a same there, and then again, it's intentional versus unintentional. I guess intentional, human intentional. We're the ones killing it. Whereas if a bear eats a deer, is that human intent?
So all we need to do here is just demonstrate that there's more animal death on cropland as opposed to wildland that those crops would be occupying. And then the argument goes through. But without those empirics, I just see no reason to accept that.
So what about the empirics of there are more deaths in the wild versus an animal agricultural system? In the United States, 30 million head of cattle are slaughtered every year. I'd say there are way more wild animal deaths across all species than that alone. Just if you eat cow, it's the same argument, right?
And I advocate for displacing the wild world into non-existence, right? Like I think the natural world is actually morally problematic, and I advocate for its non-existence.
So go. I'm sorry. Can you expand upon that? What does that mean? You advocate for getting rid of the natural world, and we live in a.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. The natural world is filled with death and destruction, things I find morally problematic.
So
why wouldn't I?
What would you replace that with?
Human infrastructure.
Human infrastructure, and you're saying we would do a better job as humans.
Yeah, I would even go so far as I think the end goal should be to ditch this ball because it's a liability in and of itself.
That a lot of people might find that problematic.
It's fine. People are free to think that I have a weird position here. That doesn't really concern me, though.
Okay. All right. Interesting. Let me.
Just on that, Sean.
Yeah.
Did you want to say something, Nick?
Oh, no, I'm good.
Just on that, Sean, like, do you see where he's coming from there? I haven't given this.
I can see his argument. I would disagree with that pretty. I don't think
disagree that if you make human infrastructure over where there is usually a huge amount of suffering and death and rights violations, most likely this year.
So I guess if we're calling a rights violation a lion eating a zebra, would that fall into your definition of a rights violation?
On my definition, yeah.
Okay, interesting. Obviously, that is a
Would
position.
You disagree?
I would disagree. But
what do you think the animal being eaten would think?
It would suck. I wouldn't like to be eaten.
Do they feel like their rights are being violated?
Yes. I think they're being murdered. They're being killed. Well, not murdered. They're being killed. Right. Yeah. The animal, it doesn't. But what about the animal that starves to death? What about the animal that needs to eat? Should we violate their rights so they don't get to eat and they die anyway? Is that any better?
For some animals, yeah, absolutely. But I also think that like animal procreation is problematic. Non-human animal procreation is problematic. I don't even advocate for most animals to exist to begin with.
Okay, interesting.
Like I was going to say this earlier, you keep on referencing things that you've heard other vegans say. I would just like ignore pretty much anything that you've ever heard from any other vegan because it's very unlikely that you've ever met another vegan like me.
Well, okay, that's fair enough. And James, maybe you're 100% aligned with that. But again, most vegans on the planet, I think they wouldn't want all wildlife to disappear, and maybe they would. I don't know. I haven't heard that before, but it's interesting. Let me ask you, because I'm thinking about this conventional definition. James, would it make sense to you to say that less suffering is better? If we could do something that would lead to less suffering, would that be better?
It would depend on what it was.
It would depend on what it was. Okay.
If less suffering
if it's an all else equal scenario, of course, less suffering is better.
Okay. So let's just say, for instance, let's just specifically talk about animal agriculture. You guys find it abhorrent. I find it, I think it's necessary. But let's just say that.
Wait, what do you mean by necessary?
It's necessary for me to get nutrition, for me to be adequately nourished in a way that I want to live. And I think that's
the word necessary, I don't know what it's doing there, because clearly there are alternatives, right?
One way or the other, I got to eat the animal. So if we want to raise them domestically, or if I want to hunt them in the wild.
Phrases like gotta, necessary, I don't know what work these are doing in the proposition that you just said.
For me to be in a position that I want to be in. Again, it's obviously dependent on me, but let me just make the point I was going to make. If we look at, let's say, and you guys probably find it abhorrent, in the United States, we kill 9 billion chickens, 30 million head of cattle, millions and millions of sheep and pigs, and hundreds and hundreds of billions of fish, right? This is to support the population. You guys find those numbers abhorrent, I'm sure. And if you divide that out over a population, right? The average American eats something like 27 chickens and like 150 fish, and if we count like shellfish and things like that, and about not even a tenth of a cow, because a cow produces about 500 pounds of meat. The average American eats about 50 pounds. So in total, the statistics on this show, the average American eats something around 200 animals a year. That's what the average American eats. I eat a carnivore diet. Probably 99% of my calories come from beef. I end up eating about 2 animals a year, right? So am I actually better than the average omnivore because I only cause the direct death of 2 animals versus the 175, 200 that the average person? Is that a fair assessment, or would you say that's wrong as well?
I don't even think it's empirically accurate that you only kill 2 animals.
The equivalent of 2 animals. I eat the equivalent.
No, because you have to include all of the things you have to include all of the death that is entailed in obtaining those. So you're also including things like, I'm assuming that you're an advocate of like pasture raised beef or whatever.
No, I eat both. I clearly eat both.
Okay.
So it just goes on like that. It's so weird. This guy, this gentleman seems like he feels like he's more, he feels like he's like Ben Shapiro's known to be a great debater. Candace Owens is known to be a great debater. He feels like he's on that level.
Yes. Because he's using
talking.
words like proposition.
Yeah.
And I don't understand why those words are in your proposition.
Yeah.
So it's like he's picking apart debate skills.
Yeah, it's really bad. It's really, really bad. Really interesting, though. Interesting to see how he thinks.
I didn't know anybody would think like that.
Any vegan?
Or just anybody, period, would want the entire animal kingdom to be gone.
Yeah, anybody, period. And I think once you get to that point, you're not a vegan.
I would agree with that.
I think you're.
I think 99% of vegans would call him not a vegan.
You're out of the running.
Yeah.
Like that's it. You're done.
Yeah. At that point, they just call you plant based.
Yeah. If that, I don't know. I don't get it. I don't get that guy at all. But he, if you're wondering, he has debate lessons. You can have debate sessions with him where he trains you on how to debate. So you can do what you just saw. If that sounds interesting to you, you can hit him up. Mm-hmm. Hit him up on his website.
Yeah, for $70 an hour.
$70 an hour?
Yeah, it's a steal.
I don't even charge that for coaching. I should. I should be charged. I'm like, what? That's crazy. That's amazing. Let's go. What do you want to do? Pull up his website?
Yeah, that's what I was just looking at with the debate.
Okay, let's pull up the website first. Go over here.
This poor guy. I'm trying not to be so mean to him.
Yeah, he seems like
because I think he's just, like Joe said, kind of sad and confused
and a bit in a cult, but then also really wants to be a contrarian. I notice when people have it kind of rough growing up, they develop this I don't care attitude because it's necessary to get through everything they've been going through.
Yeah. Put up your walls.
Yeah, and then I think for this guy, kind of trailed into his adult life.
Yeah.
That's what it seems like to me.
Because it said this guy as well, went to school, started to go to school for nutrition, but then
Yeah.
didn't finish his degree.
Which is wild.
Yeah.
Wild to have like a expertise type of debate,
Yes.
and and you didn't finish your degree on what you're debating.
Yeah, with a surgeon.
Which, yeah, true, yeah. Sean's been at it for a while, so this is the debating.
Yeah.
We're not getting paid by this guy. I just want to throw him a bone here, you know, in case you want to debate. Maybe you're like, I want to debate that Coach Colin one day. You know, this guy will set you up proper.
Oh gosh.
He'll set you up proper. Very interesting. Nutrition science. Odd guy. I got to go to this because this is so World Economic Forum to me. This is what I was talking about. Klaus Schwab would love this guy.
Yeah.
Eat bugs, save the planet. So this guy has been advocating that people should eat the bugs.
Yes.
So,
And he actually made his own company called Ecotone Foods.
yeah,
It says he co-founded the company
interesting.
to make a trail mix that has whole crickets, mealworms, and superworms in it.
So that's what you're seeing there on the little
Gross.
bottom of his picture. It's a little bit of almonds, a little bit of mealworms, as you can see right
Ugh,
there.
I can't even imagine.
A little bit of cricket, and he thinks that's what people should eat.
Yeah.
I don't understand this mindset at all.
And I found this after we started this episode, but he
Okay.
actually did, it's called Kick Track. I guess it's like a Kickstarter type program
Okay,
for this
this company.
company.
Cool.
And it says project canceled. And
Oh.
that was after like, I think 8 or 9 days
Hey,
of
listen,
it being live.
listen, when you're eating nothing but bugs and trail mix, you get kind of tired. You gotta cancel the things you're doing.
So I don't think this actually ever went to market.
Probably not. This is not something that is, I want to say, marketable. What is this about? Did you read any of this?
And it's just talking about the benefits of eating bugs. And the UN says it's good and blah, blah, blah.
Of course the UN does.
Yeah, exactly.
Of course. I don't understand how this guy didn't get funding from them. World
Yeah.
Economic Forum, all of these people, you should eat bugs. Like, you know, like it's the new thing. It's the new superfood. How come they didn't throw this guy a bone? They should have been like, hey, yeah, why not?
Yeah. But this like makes me a little bit sad for him because I'm seeing like he tried to do this company and it looks like it didn't work out. That was 2014.
Oh,
And then that was probably like right after he went to school and that didn't work out.
yeah.
And now he has, I don't know what he's doing, debate coaching, whatever else. It just seems like he hasn't found his thing yet.
You know, I don't know. If I had to be serious about it, I mean, you got to pull yourself out of a world of negativity
For sure.
in order to move forward with your life. Yeah.
For sure. But he just sounds like a crazy person now.
Yeah, I mean, he's talking about wiping out all animal life.
Yeah. How does that make any sense?
Yeah. Where do you get the bugs? The mealworms and superworms aren't actually worms. They're darkling beetle larvae. Oh my
Delicious.
gosh.
Yum, yum, yum.
An Ontario farm harvests them. Yeah, apparently Canada has one of the biggest cricket farms
Ew,
in
really?
the world. Yeah, they have like a massive facility
Ooh.
because, you know, Justin Trudeau's all about the people.
I wonder if you like live near it, if you could like hear it. Crickets.
You're
like,
just hearing crickets
like
all
I don't know,
night.
millions of crickets. That'd be insane.
Well, if you do hear them, you're not hearing them for long. The UN says eating insects is a viable alternative, and if the UN is right, it could help save the planet. I don't know, buddy. I don't think he's right. I mean, you look at him. I mean, you look at Sean, and I'm
yes.
just like,
right? There's a clear difference there.
I mean, I know what team I'm on. I had her make a bunch of elk patties. Yeah, I didn't even have you do it. You just did it.
I did
Thank
it.
you so much. And she chopped up bacon and put
Yeah.
it inside.
Making it nice.
That's what I like. That's what I like myself. I'm going meat, and that's from a local farm, and soon it'll be from what I hunted, and that's what I'm going for. We want people to be able to see insects as food, so they can alchemize themselves to the idea of eating insects. That's our number one motivation. I can't back companies like this. I really don't like the companies that push companies, states, and anybody that pushes that we shouldn't be eating meat and we should be eating bugs. I don't like that. I
Yeah.
don't like when they go like that.
Agreed.
I think if somebody wants to eat bugs, I watch people in all sorts of nations eat bugs and larvae. We've watched all sorts of cooking
Yes.
shows. We're eating all sorts of stuff. And I say, great, do it. Have at it. That's amazing. And
Yeah.
sometimes it even looks good from the shows we watch. I'm like, wow, it looks like, what's that pasta called? Bulgogi or something like that? What's it called?
A few silly? The ones that are
Nah,
twisted?
It's like the potatoy
Oh, gnocchi.
gnocchi. There
Yeah.
you go.
I can't eat gnocchi anymore because you said that. Because they look like little larvae.
Well, what can you do? But like, you know, like I think everybody should just have at it and do what they want to do. But when people start to become like what you do is destroying things and what I want is what's going to save the planet, I just think that's a bit of a, it feels like a false prophet type of thing.
Yeah.
You know, when somebody's like, I speak to God, and because I speak to God, you can't, and you should just listen to me because I have the proper word.
Yeah.
And you don't have it. And what you're doing is blasphemous.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'm doing is linked to sainthood. Because in that, they just want the power. That's what that is.
Yeah.
When people want, like, and again, I'll even go, you know, tinfoil tuxedo. I was going to say Speedo. Tuxedo, Speedo,
You're
everything.
going fancy today.
Yeah. I got a yarmulke. I got a tinfoil turban. I have all sorts of stuff. But I think at the end of the day, when you're eating meat, you just have more strength, you have more power, you have more energy. I think when you start turning to these alternatives like bugs, I think you have less power, less strength, less motivation, less desire, less spirit, less fight.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that certain people want in the world.
Yeah.
You know, they want you to have less of those things, which is why they're trying. I even saw an ad recently. They're trying to demonize them. Well, they weren't trying to demonize, but they were talking about something called it's like the zombie deer syndrome.
Oh, I saw that.
It's not quite what it's called, but that's basically what it is.
Yeah.
So these deer have this like wasting away on their antlers. Sometimes it's just their antlers shedding. Sometimes it's something else. But basically, they're saying this is going to contact humans, and that people should stop hunting. Basically, and I'm just like, it's just too convenient. Right as that becomes like a mainstream thing that a lot of people are turning to,
Yeah.
all of a sudden you're like, hey, don't do it. And it's like, come on, man. It gets a little ridiculous, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know about this guy.
Yeah.
What do you think about this guy?
I think he's sad and trying to find his way in the world.
Do you have if you have somebody who would go out with this guy?
My God,
I think
no.
he would solve it. I honestly do. I think in no time he'd be eating meat. He'd
Yeah.
be working out.
If some like pretty girl invited him out for a steak, he'd say yes.
Yeah. and the next time he saw Sean Baker, he'd arm wrestle him because he'd have the energy, he'd have
There
the
you go.
power. Like, I want to see you in person, Baker. And he'd put his arm on. He'd have a huge bicep, elk meat running through his veins.
Mm-hmm.
It's so much better. It feels so good. It does. It feels 100 times better to eat elk
Yeah.
and bison. That's what I've been eating. Elk, bison. Sometimes we just have the ground beef, but elk, bison, venison. It's felt amazing to eat those things.
Good.
Like you feel like a lot of energy. I love it.
But you can tell even in the color of the meat. And it's probably like higher iron and things.
Everything. I love it so much. But yeah, interesting little debate that this guy that Sean had
Yeah.
with this gentleman.
I might go finish watching that
Yeah,
debate because it's like a car crash. You just can't look away.
Yeah, it's only like it's like 48 minutes if you want to check it out. Sean Baker actually has a podcast called the Dr. Sean Baker Podcast. It's on YouTube. Yeah, you should check it out. Great page.
The comments on that interview are really funny as well.
Oh, really? People
Yeah.
are like going in.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Guess we gotta check it out. What can I do? Shout out to Sean Baker. Just having these people makes you see what happens to the human brain when it lacks meat and fat. Oh gosh.
Yeah. It's all like that.
I love how the vegan guy uses the phrase, let's cut straight to the heart of the matter. Oh man. Yeah, you know what? I get it. I have those things to say too. Just I'm on YouTube, so it's different for me. But I'm going to jump in the comments too. I'll be in the comments in a second for anybody that jumps to this video. But we were saying at the end of this, Sean seems above this.
Yes.
He seems like he shouldn't be. Like, you see this guy on Rogan, and you're like, this guy knows what he's talking about. It's guys like this that have advised not really advised Joe, but Joe has looked at guys like this and said, this is kind of going to direct his diet. He uses these guys as examples, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, why would he be debating these two people?
Yeah, I'm just looking up the other guy. Okay, so James Aspie, he's the one who's more famous, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
He has like 183,000 followers on Instagram.
Yeah.
So
but
probably they were going to have a conversation.
Yeah.
And then James invited Nick, but James was just going along with
shouldn't have happened.
all of Nick's crazy things.
James has a very pretty look to him and a very nice accent. That's where those subscribers and followers are coming from.
Yeah.
I can tell you that right now. Okay. That's 100% with any raps.
I don't know.
That's what he said. He said he made a rap song dissing Sean.
Okay, so that's where it came from.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It was like a whole thing. So I don't know. He just seems like above this. He seems like he should be making different types of content, or at least with different people.
Yeah.
You know, somebody who's like leading in the vegan space.
Yeah.
Something. I don't know.
Interesting.
But now that I've seen him debate people like this, let's try and get him on the podcast.
Yeah, right?
What are you wasting your time for, Sean? Come on. Come on. Let's definitely try and get him on the podcast. Why not? If he's willing to do that for an hour. And it's funny because you guys didn't see it, but while he's in this interview, he randomly, as he realizes where this is going, he's like, hey guys, just got to let you know I got to leave at 10 o'clock.
Yes.
I thought I had more time. I don't have as much time as I thought.
He like tried to end it real quick, gave himself an out.
Yeah, he realized, he's like, this is going in a weird direction.
Yeah.
He's like, are these guys even vegans? And the guy you're debating is not even talking. He's like letting the other guy talk more.
Yeah.
So very interesting. But again, let's jump on this podcast.
I heard Sean Baker talk about, the carnivore diet.
Yeah, there's Sean Baker. That's his page.
It looks like he has 2 pages. So this is just for the podcast.
Oh, okay, cool.
And then his main one is called Sean Baker MD.
Sean Baker MD. I can't see it. No, that's the podcast again. So either way. Oh, it's called Sean Baker MD?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So check that out, guys. Sean Baker, great information on that guy. And check out the podcast he did with Rogan. It's very interesting. He has a lot to say about these things. He has a lot of information. Like you said, he's a surgeon. He's been doing he's been in that field for what, 30 years?
I don't know.
I think he mentioned it. He's like, I've been doing this for 3 decades. Remember at the beginning of the debate?
True.
And he's been a carnivore for almost just as long. So he has some interesting, but even he says, because he's not really culty about it, he's like, if anything, he's like, I would call this a therapeutic diet, and it's not something to stay on.
Interesting. But he does.
But he stays on it, and he gets his blood checked constantly.
Yeah.
And Rogan does the same thing. Jordan Peterson does the same thing. Michaela Peterson does the same thing. They're always getting their blood checked to make sure that it's
Everything's
still okay.
Yeah.
Because, again, it's just therapeutic.
Yeah.
Jordan Peterson and Michaela, they do it solely for therapeutic purposes.
Because they have some health things going on.
Yeah, they don't find it good. And Michaela actually just delivered a baby, so she's actually in pretty good health. So, yeah. So it's definitely something to check out. Definitely won't give out any health advice right now, but I'm kind of touching on it as much as I can between this lady making pasta all the time.
I love it.
Making amazing pasta. And she breaks out rice all the time. Just don't buy buns.
I know. I can't buy bread.
Just don't buy any bread. You make pasta. You can make pasta.
Pasta for one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for one. All right, guys. Do you have anything else?
No, that's it.
Sorry, I just had to check with you. Guys, share the podcast. Share our podcast. Check out Sean's podcast. Check out Rogan's podcast. And other than that, thanks so much. It helps tremendously when you like and subscribe, so do so. And we'll be back very, very soon.
Bye.
There you go.